What is up, guys? This is GreenWarrior291. I'm here with Koolken, and I wish Underdog Steve would be here, but I don't know where the hell he is. So we're doing the season 1 versus season 2 review. Now, we never did a season 1 review, so let us just give our thoughts, at least from what we can recall from season 1.
Episode 18.
I got
That's it.
I mean, it was a good season for being like on its own prior to season 2.
Yeah,
Though episode 18 was quite the episode.
I think it was the highlight of the season, to be honest.
Well, that's not the only highlight that y'all got out of that.
We also got the most famous meme for about a year.
4 years. That aired years ago. Well, no.
If you're talking
5
about
years ago.
ReZero, if you were talking about ReZero overall, yes. Just ReZero memes, yes. I'm talking about like memes overall.
I mean, for us, it was a whole year. But let's get started.
Yeah.
The first thing we're going to compare is season 1 Subaru and season 2 Subaru's development. Now, this is the same fucking character, nonetheless. So, to compare these two is going to be a bit tricky because season 2 relies on season 1's development in a sense, but we can kind of compare on how they progressed, whether or not they hit the marks of like actually progressing. So let's start with season 1 Subaru being the more obvious one, that he's the one that started it all. Ken, you can give your thoughts first because I know you're gonna be the harsher out of the two of us.
People should know my thoughts about Subaru
This is
overall, but
this is in case they don't.
I know, I know, so I hate Subaru as a character. I was like, he's like, I was like, what really killed me was how he said that he loved Amelia to Ram after her confession. That's what pretty much killed me for him completely. But here in this in this video, I'm going to be impartial to
Basically, me and Ken are being unbiased as possible.
yes, but there's going to be some bias because my personal thoughts about actually make me more critical of his actions.
Okay, season 1, from the very start, you can tell something's up because the moment he gets transported into Lagunica, his eyes start to like glow with like hope, which is something that is subtly noticed. So
And
this is what I think
And it's
Subaru.
like I'm just gonna say like this. Anyone's gonna notice that they're in a new place, which means they can start all over. Their eyes are gonna glow like that.
Yeah,
So don't
but
make it sound
it
like
is. But
don't
Subaru
make it sound
hasn't.
like it's
No,
only is
no,
it
no,
this one
no.
happens to
I
Subaru.
mean, I don't want to bring other anime, so we're just
And,
sticking
I
to
don't want
Subaru.
I don't want to either, but I just want to say that because you make it sound like
No,
only
no.
Russo.
The mental state on Subaru is he's running away from like his problems from home at this point. That's the convey he did in episode 18. The thing with Subaru is he didn't know about Return by Death up until obviously his dying
First
third.
death, yes.
So arc 1, we're doing arc 1 through arc 3 on season 1, everyone, just to get everyone on page. But Subaru in season 1 is quite of an idiot, if I may say so myself. He does have his moments of goodness, but it's arc 3 that, oh boy, that beginning part is just brutal to watch. And I don't mean brutal for him, I'm just saying it's brutal to even be like associated with him because he just makes the wrong actions for
Yeah,
whatever fucking
he
reason.
just makes a whole ass out of himself for no reason. As I understand why he did it, but in on all honesty, he did it for no reason, just because he wanted to be seen as something he is currently isn't, which was Amelia's knight, which he doesn't become until the end of season 2, which makes sense
That
because
that's
his
a
actions.
that's an overarching arc, but let's get back to point.
Yes,
Season one Subaru, that was his biggest downfall because that led him to the whole events, which is ironic because that led him to actually get a perfect um loop at some point because he gets all the camps to work together, almost all of them. I mean, he kills the white whale, and with their help, they were able to take out Sloth or Betelgeuse. So there's a lot that we can convey that somehow this played right into Subaru's good graces. Though he did need to be beaten down for him to kind of accept that he needs to quote unquote rely on others and do stuff right, not be an ass of himself.
luck plays a really, really good hand with Subaru sometimes. Even
Yes.
though I honestly think that Return by Death is one of the best lucks he has because then he goes back with the information he has what's already happened. So you're like, so he can say, okay, that didn't work like that. Let's try a different path.
Mm,
But of course, that didn't happen. It doesn't start happening until much later on in season 2,
okay, we
in
can
my opinion.
transition. We can transition to season two. Though funny
Mhm.
enough, season one for one was actually Subaru not so bad. It was the beginning of the second core of season one where Subaru went literally up until
Actually,
episode 18.
actually, I would disagree with that. Easily, I actually thought he was a little better on the second. On the second half of season 1.
I don't know about that. Episode
He was
18
still,
begs to
he
differ.
was still, it was like besides this fuck up besides two fuck ups that I will never ever forgive him for. Of course, one I will never forgive him for all eternity, which is
What's
why
the
he's on my
second one?
anime shit list. Oh, the second one was when he was talking out the side of his ass. It was about being a knight,
Okay,
to
yeah,
a full knight.
but he got his ass whooped, so I don't know why you're gonna hold it against him. He already got his ass whooped about it.
I'm still gonna hold him against him, but not as much as I'm holding the other one against
Okay,
him.
the Subaru in this one
I,
got to
he has, it's like, but he has redeemed himself. He has redeemed himself because he put in the late work later on in
yeah,
season 2.
season one Subaru is learning the ropes and stuff and learning more about the
Hmm.
season two Subaru has a more mental issue than anything else. Because the first core is him trying to do everything on his own after Rem got lost her memories and her name. Basically, the
Hmm.
reasoning being he doesn't want to lose anyone else like the way he lost Rem. So obviously he
Hmm.
wants to do it alone, which was his biggest problem. Now he managed to surpass that problem with the help of everybody and eventually got the perfect loop that was relying on others and the strength in
Power friendship.
basically. But if we were to say which Subaru is better in the sense of developing as a better Subaru, that's
Season 1,
hmm,
because ego is like because it takes a lot to set him up for season 2, and he
might
goes through more
I might have to agree
events.
with you there. Season one Subaru is more of the start. I mean, I don't know. Season two Subaru really had a lot more
Season
going.
season 2 Subaru benefits from what season 1 Subaru lacked, which means development wise, season 1 had the better development, in my
Okay,
opinion.
we can. I guess in this case, we can give a point to the season one Subaru being that has a character himself. As much as you hate him, he does grow out of that character in season one. Season two is more of a continuation, and even on its own
Hmm.
is perfect. It's just this one had a lot more to deal with than this one, which is not season two's fault. It's just there was just one
Yeah,
arc.
I wouldn't use perfect, but go on. It was a good development. I will say it like that.
All right. Second thing. Second antagonist to supportive character. I forgot that supportive. Now, Rem versus Garfield's development. Now, here's the I had to add this. Now, here's the thing. Rem's entire thing is she actually could smell the witch's scent on Subaru. Garfield couldn't. He just relied on Ryuzu Shima. Because the loop where Satella attacked everyone, he trusted Subaru still.
Hmm.
So the thing with this loop is they both basically got Subaru killed. Rem in more cases than Garfield, but their development from a secondary antagonist to a supportive character. Rem is the perfect waifu. Let's not throw around the bushes
Let's
with
not
that.
let's not shit let's not shit around the bushes right now. We're not
Uh
gonna. It was like we're not gonna pretend that Garfield's perfect. I was like, Rem isn't perfect either because she still has some flaws, which have been pointed out. Go with her.
it's quite
He
funny
is a,
because Subaru basically has the same issue with these two characters, and he had to win them over in different means. So
yep.
if I want to be honest though, I think I like Garfield a little more than Rem's win, only because of this. Subaru had to deal with a lot more, and Garfield was the big key to basically a lot of the problems in the later arc, in that later arc. Rem's the thing with Rem is that she kind of went from I hate you to I am obsessed with you type, though she is supportive of Subaru. I mean, they kind of both are in a different way, though. This is the real big difference. One is more of a romantic interest, the other one's like a brother type of character. So if we're gonna compare the two, it's a lot more in the sense of which one did more for Subaru, because they both did a lot for Subaru after they became a supportive character. Rem
You also got,
basically
I will
APC.
say you gotta look at the amount of time he spent with these characters too. He spent less time with Garfield than he has with Rem. It was right.
True.
I'm also including the time skip in between arcs 2 and 3. Because since you said that is a month, he's not. It's like you gotta also remember that he spent the time he spent with her between loops. So every time he loops back, he spent time with her. So he got to know her, even though she didn't know him, but more than like a month and a week. Technically,
I don't
he
know
knew her for
about it.
probably 2 months.
Apparently got retconned to 2 months from arc 3, but I don't know if that's true or not. So it's either 1 to 2
Okay, but
months. But you're right. Like he has had more time with Rem, which should give Rem the victory. Though Garfield has a different type of development because Subaru can connect. He can basically connect with these two. One has an inferiority complex. The other one is basically having issues about
he's a
parents
blockhead. He's
and
a he,
that. Now, if I
he's a he, I'm gonna say this about Garfield. The dude's awesome, but he's a complete fucking blockhead. He's like
he's a shonen
he's
protagonist character. Let's be
he's like
real.
yeah, he's too headstrong for his own good. He's like it took him forever to listen to reason, which was the whole point. They that was like dragging out his story, which was he wouldn't listen to reason.
I mean, it's not that. I mean, it's just the fact
It,
that he doesn't want anything to change. Watching your own parent die
mm,
in front of you will obviously break you,
it would, yes,
especially
but
for the
he,
age he was.
for age he was correct, but he took on a lot more responsibilities, so he would listen to what most people consider reason, like, hey, these people need to leave. So it was like they came here for protection for a little bit, but then they need to leave.
No, well, he was
And,
afraid of the outside world. Anyone on the outside he saw as a
no,
threat.
like no one was telling him he had to go to the outside world. It's like, hey, these people are gonna come, stay for a little bit, but then they need to leave, so they need to come out the sanctuary. It was like that was it. There was no one telling him that he himself needed to leave.
I mean, he was okay with it. If you remember in the very first loop in Sanctuary, he was like, "Hey, if you took the trials, then you should do it." Like he was okay with it. He was a neutral party. That's what he was. He did not want
Uh,
it. Like he was against it, but he stayed neutral. Like he actually did try to stay neutral. It's just after he started seeing that too much stuff was changing and Subaru and Otto were being suspicious for him, then he started to go against them. That's when he obviously went like against the group. Now, on
uh,
Rem's case, like the very first loop, she didn't really hate Subaru. It was the
She saw
factor.
she viewed him as a threat because of the witch sit on him.
No, no, no. Yeah, I'm saying the very first loop in the mansion. Like she didn't actually wanted to kill him or anything. She just eventually like grew accustomed to him. But they were like co-worker kind of relationship. They weren't like friends or anything other than that. But then after he died in his sleep by the curse, that's when Rem had an issue because she noticed that the witch's scent started to increase.
Mm-hmm.
So the issue between the two is they're both good in the sense. And if we're saying which one had the better change of heart between the two, I mean,
Don't you dare say Garfield. I will disagree with that until the end of time.
uh, it's not that I don't want to say Rem, because the thing is, Subaru fought Garfield and won his trust. In Rem's case, he shoved the Rem out of the way and got literally bitten. And legit, you know what? I have to give it to season one because I love Garfield's development and all. But the thing is, Subaru did
I
a
did
lot
too, but
more. He did a lot. No, because he still risked. He broke his own gate. Do you want
he's
to?
a he's
We
he
have
risks a
to.
lot more for. Okay, go ahead.
I know you're gonna say he risked a lot more for Rem's case, and you're right. But think of it this way: the loop he's already in on season two was already hell. Had he lost even that second loop, the second he lost that loop, he would be fucked automatically because of the contract. Because then he cannot diverge from whatever Roswell wants, so he would be completely fucked. Now you could say the same thing with season one's, because that lap pillow was the reason Rem didn't try to kill his ass.
Uh-huh.
But it's just the factor that that one Amelia kind of saved him from Rem like fully viewing him as a threat. While in season two, Subaru legit had to beat it out of Garfield. So this is kind of a harder case, and I actually chose one of the more harder questions. But if I am being honest, season two kind of gets the slight win only because the stakes were extremely high. Considering that he what all the that he risked on. Like, yeah, in season one he risked a lot too. He risked possibly dying, but the problem is he would have been able to find some way around it compared to season two's where he only had one more. It's like you're on your last life, basically.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. He did a lot more for Garfield, and Garfield was the bigger key. If you really are review it from like like the bigger picture, without Garfield, they would not have been able to beat Elsa. Elsa was way too OP, and Garfield was the perfect way to win. Rems was the perfect way to get Subaru to kind of knock it off, but to be fair, that was his
Uh,
own dumbass fault. So that could have been
yep.
avoidable. That's the problem. That
Which
could have been
I'm
avoidable.
yes, but I'm going to disagree with you and say that season one should get the win here.
All right, we can tally up our points, like what we give. All right. Now the
Okay.
ReZero speeches. Now okay. Let me explain real quick. Subaru, in a sense, helped Rem slightly get over her issues, and that's how she fell in love with him. That was kind of the speech
Uh,
here, and then the most famous ReZero speech. Now, in season two's, we have two of Otto's. His "I am your friend," and then the "Rely on your friends." We have Satella's speech, sort of speech, but more of encouragement of "rely on your friends." The Subaru getting to telling Amelia that just because I believe he doesn't, no, he loves her, that's why he believes in her. And then the most amazing fucking choose me scene, which is basically a ReZero speech on its own. Now it's funny that it looks like season two has a lot more. Wait till the next one. You'll see kind of like the imbalance gets completely fucked
uh,
over. Now, if we're saying which
you're,
one had,
you're
we have to
you're gonna
combine them.
hate me for what I would choose. I'm just gonna say it right now. If it's this is a 1v4.
It's a 1v4. I don't know. It's two speeches versus speeches, or maybe five.
It's,
But we're doing
it's,
it as a collective.
it's
We're doing it as a collective that actually like impacted the story. That way it doesn't feel too overwhelmed.
it's still a 1v4 because you got to break up how each one is. Of season 2, the stronger one is definitely Choose Me.
Yeah, okay.
I
Let
will
let
not
let's
deny
do
that.
let's kind of diverge from season 1 versus season 2, and let's just go into season 2 versus itself, get the best one out of the way, and explain
Yeah,
why we think this one's bottom and this one's middle, and then Choose Me is obviously both of our choice. So Choose Me is gonna represent season 2, but we'll try to think our opinions on the others. The auto stuff was the key changing point. It's the same thing. We'll actually compare
uh,
autos and Rems because they were both the changing for that season. Because without those two,
uh,
Subaru would have been fucked.
yep. I
Satellus
will
is
say that I think
high up there.
auto speech and Satellites. I think auto speech and Satellites are tied for me because I was like Otto was pretty much saying, "I'm here. Let me." It was like, "Let me help you," and Stella was telling him, "Hey, you have friends." It's like, "Don't be afraid to rely on them." And his speech pretty much echoed what her said, what she was saying, like, "Rely on me." It was like, "Lean on me when you're not strong."
You know what? Satellus kind of telling her to rely on others, and basically Emilia and Subaru have the same fucking issue that they don't know if they can rely on other people. So it's kind of fitting that they rely on each other. But okay, let's compare Rem's speech to Subaru and Subaru's speech to Beatrice, because that's what we're gonna do. Now we will say which one had the
Hmm.
better speeches between the two seasons, like which one was the better one out of all. Because you may have a lot of speeches, but that does not necessarily give you the win.
Yep.
But you can go
I was
about the
gonna.
Rem speech. I'll talk about the Beatrice and Choose Me speech, and then we'll compare notes and and then decide from there. Makes it much easier than trying to both of us explain one thing.
All right. I'm going to try to make this as unbiased as I can because I fucking love Rim. You just like there's she like you said she stole the show completely. She completely just stole the show
Quite literally, in fact.
in season 1. Everyone was everyone was rightfully pissed when we got the "I love Amelia"
No, you know what
line.
that did? That sparked the Amelia versus Rem war. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked.
Yep. I'm just trying to explain my context. What I'm about to say.
Okay.
Rem's speech in itself about her and Subaru running away, starting a family, and go into details about it that she liked. But then she's like, "But this is not what I know should happen. This is not. This is my fantasy, but this is not what should happen with us. You are needed here. You are needed." It was a tweet by Amelia's side. It was like you're needed to help. It was like help us get Amelia to from pretty much. I was like, that's what because she saw Subaru as a hero, even though he looks down on himself. So she was like, "No, hold your head up high. You're not. You're not someone who is foolish. You're someone who's brave. You're someone who's kind. You're someone who's I view as strong. Even it was like not in the sense of you have physical strength, but strong in heart." So she was like, it sounds like she was giving him the most epic pep talk, which in a way, yes, she was, but she was putting her heart and soul into it because she truly believed all this and she truly was in love with Subaru. And that's my piece.
Okay, let me make one clarification because I don't want to see any stupid Beatrice shipping Beatrice and Subaru because that's not how the relationship is. They're more like a brotherly sisterly type. So get the fuck out of here with that. Anyway, sorry about that. Okay,
Let people
Subaru's
ship what they want.
yeah, but that one's like Beatrice is a special case. But
I'm like, just let people ship what they
let's
want. They're gonna ship it.
they're gonna ship it regardless. All right, whatever. Anyway, Subaru's speech to Beatrice is the complete opposite to that. If we're being honest, the thing is, is Subaru knows, like, after constantly trying to be like, I'm here to save you, he was honest to Beatrice. The thing with Choose Me is not that he's not trying to save Beatrice. It's still saving Beatrice, but in a different manner than what Rem saved Subaru. Because in that case, is more of pumping his back up with courage. And this one is trying to tell Beatrice that, hey, you are capable of doing whatever you want. You can stay here and wait for that person that you have like in your mind, or you can choose me and I will do my best to make you happy. Because he does tell that, yes, I'm gonna die at some point. Like, Beatrice is gonna out. That's gonna happen. He's not lying about it. He's being honest. But he says he's gonna carve whatever memories he can give Beatrice. He's gonna try doing two things. One, make up for all the pain and sadness she was feeling for 400 years. But two, make sure that his memories are so strong that even after he's dead, like permanently dead, that she will remember him, no matter how long it is. So it is more.
You
Im-
will remember my name.
God damn it. So basically, it's like choose me. It's literally in the name. Like, I'm glad they didn't went
I
with
get
pick
it.
me. The pick me is a fucking stupid name. Anyway, why do I always go back to that rant? So that's the point of that speech. It's basically just Subaru being honest and asking for Beatrice's help. Like, that's basically all he ever wants is help from Beatrice so he can eventually help her as best as he can. Plus, they're both
Hmm.
kind of act the same way, so in a sense, they're kind of compatible on that note. But comparing between the
Yep.
two,
Okay,
it,
so
it it's a lot
I,
difficult.
I there's something I do have something I want to add to that.
Go ahead.
See, Subaru would not have been in position to have his choose me speech without Rim having her speech that she believes in him
God
because
damn
that
it!
courage that
I
carried him for
fucking knew it.
like I said, that courage
I fucking
that
knew it.
carried it was like
Look,
that was like and I'm not it was like, and not even that his is like his other speech he received from Otto Satella also built up to choose me because it's them giving him the more of the building blocks.
season
Rem gave him
one
a
is.
foundation, but they give him more building blocks, and it all culminated into choose me.
You're right. That's the thing. Though I will have to add in the Subaru helping Rem out, as you see in the little GIF right there, was what also led
Yep,
to the start from zero speech. So in a sense, it's a
yep,
mirror of itself. The thing is, all of these speeches together, like within their separate seasons, build up for the bigger part. Though the one from Subaru to
hmm
Rem is what ironically gets Rem back to Subaru. Otto's speech, Satella's, and even his talk with Amelia were help to build up to the Choose Me. So in a sense,
hmm
Choose Me and Start from Zero are both the pinnacle points of the season. The thing is,
yes,
which one was done better is a lot harder to talk about because both Subarus are in a completely different state of minds and have different issues to deal with. So we're comparing those two, separating them for a moment that they're their own things.
yeah.
The thing is, I want to give it to season two. As much I love the Rem speech, that thing is amazing.
I
The
knew you were say that. I knew you would say that,
the reason
and you
why,
probably know what I'm gonna say too.
yeah, I know you're gonna say the Rem one. The reason why
Hmm.
I say that the season two gets it is because it's Subaru relaying the message he learned to others. You could say the same argument to season one, but the thing with season one is Subaru got himself into that fucking mess on his own. Like, I don't want to bring up the game.
Which
I
uh,
fucking the game.
which I am going to which I'm actually which actually part of the reason why I choose that one. I'll let you finish explaining yours first.
Okay, let me bring up the game for a moment. As much as it's shit,
Fuck.
but the thing is that Subaru had someone to stop him from making an ass of himself, which changed drastically, and that speech is no longer needed because Subaru is with Amelia. Though
Uh-huh.
the problem is that Subaru is a little too obsessed. This one had development enough. Although we did mention that Natsuki Subaru season 1 is much better, the thing is, at least within like a development cycle, season two's was more of a circle similar to season one's, but this one had more people involved because they were all connected with each other, and it eventually led to the finale being Beatrice needing to be a part of that. Now go ahead and do yours.
All right, so for why I'm choosing season one over season two here, it's not necessarily because I didn't like Choose Me. I love Choose Me as much as Ronnie does. It was a great scene, but to me, it didn't have the same impact as Start from Zero. From it had impact, but not the same one that just melted my fucking heart. It was and I was like, and I was rooting for fucking Subaru even after he said, "I love Amelia." It was like I was sitting there like conflicted for the rest of the season
Bullshit. You and
because
Austin were
Raymond
giving
Speed.
shit to Subaru for like 3 episodes more.
I was like, yes, I was like yes, but I was still silently rooting for him because like I'm like, hey, I was like, yes, you fucked up, but at least you're doing shit. Well, at least she got through to you.
Well,
She
they
literally
both
got through to
Rem and
you.
Beatrice got. How about this? Let's agree that this one's a tie, only because their impact are way too fucking big and
I was honestly
impactful.
going to give. I was honestly going to give a half point to
The
to the choose me to
f-
as a I'm giving a half point because the other three speeches for season two weren't as impactful. They weren't as impactful, especially. I'm not going to get into the whole feeling of
this one.
consent stuff for
Look,
yes.
look. I will make a
I'm not
video,
going to get into that one.
viewers. I will make a video relating to this, and we will discuss whether the dude. I don't even want to talk about it. Dude, you know how much of a big fucking fight the comment section had in that entire like the little clip that they had with the official Crunchyroll, just that clip of them kissing. So much fucking
Hmm.
conflict. So let's just agree that Subaru needed that to get that kiss to at least prove that he loves her because there was no other way. He can't just talk.
I will agree with that, but I was like, but the context leading up to this
It was
was just
rough.
kind
It
of
was rough. Let's just agree that it was
yeah.
rough. But
I'll say it's rough. I was like, we'll get into that another time.
another day. Anyway, but I
Yep.
just say they're
So
so
it's like,
equal on
if we were
parts.
just doing choose me alone, if we were doing choose me alone, it'll definitely be a tie. But since we're comparing all four season two versus season one, it is like one or two. If you want, it's like if you want to say, if you want to have the start from zero speech as maybe a two parter, you have Subaru's part and Rem's part. It's like then you have it's like then I'll say definitely tie, but since it's all four, that one was like Subaru to Amelia brings it down, but brings would have brought it down to a complete loss by on its own. But and with Satella's and Otto's speeches barely like saving it, but Choose Me by itself would be a
I
tie.
was just saying. Already agreed that Choose Me was competing against starting from zero,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a tie. Anyway, moving on. Story development
I'm gonna give.
now.
I was like, no, wait. I'm giving. I was like, I'm just gonna say 1 point, one half point. I
Okay,
can go.
I
I was like 1 point season,
I mean,
half point for season two.
if I have to do the same thing as 1/2 point and 1 point, it's kind of fucking hard to do that. But I'm just gonna give Choose Me the edge only because that one definitely had a different type of impact. Like I love Start from Zero. Who wouldn't melt their hearts with that? Unless you, but uh, the thing is, Beatrice is much more of a different case. Ah, fuck. All right, I'll let you talk on this one. I will be right back. But this is between season one's arcs 1, 2, and 3 as a story development, comparing to season two's development of Arc 4 as a whole. I'll be right back.
All right, all right. So looks like I have the reins here. All right, so season one versus season two story development. It's pretty simple if you add in the fact that season one covers three arcs, pretty much, while season two is just arc four, as I explained. He's more in depth of arcs than I am, since since I am sadly only an anime only watcher, so I don't read the light novels or the web novels. So I have no idea about certain things, but when he explained that season one, season two were like, oh, were combined four arcs, but season one is three of those arcs. I'm like, okay, that makes a little sense. Now here is all right.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So,
I was just saying I'm
all
back.
right, all right. So here is my like little analysis. Season one had a lot more to cover. It was like a lot more to cover since it was covering three like major arcs. It was like season, so it couldn't get into a lot of detail, which led to probably a lot of things that were cut. Season two, however, was focusing more on only one arc, which means they can get a lot more detail with the same amount of with the same amount of time that they had in season one. There still be cut content for time with animation, but they wouldn't. It was like, but it was more focused. You got more than what was found in season one versus season two. Season one as a whole, it felt like the story was marching forward rather quickly because it was like 3 or 4 episodes. We were given we were given the first arc, which was Subaru's arrival into Lagunica,
3 episodes.
and
I'll make it clear.
3 episodes.
Episodes 1 to 3 for Arc 1, episodes
Okay,
4 to 11, and then 12 to 25.
makes sense. So like I said, it was like 3 episodes. Then we go up to 7 episodes, and then from there on it's 12, 13 episodes. While season two got the full 24 episodes just for 24, 25 episodes. I believe it's 25. Just for just for arc 4 in general.
Well, let me make a quick correction. So, Arc
Okay?
3 was not finished fully because it ended. The Arc 3 ends when when Subaru finds Rem like comatose. So it ends in a cliffhanger type. The scene where Subaru's crying in the first episode, that's technically the end of Arc 3.
Okay.
So technically, you have like a tiny piece of Arc 3 in season 2. But if I were to give like my thoughts and analysis of both seasons, as you were saying, this one had a lot more to cover compared to this one. But then again, this one was the longest fucking one the author wrote compared
Mhm.
to season 1. That was probably the one book, 2 books for Arc 2, and then I forgot how many books for Arc 3. But this between the two, it's different pacing of the story. This one's more. I feel like this one has a lot more on other characters, with Subaru included, while this one was purely setting up with Subaru getting his character development as it went along. Because we're seeing through Subaru's eyes that entire season. The only time we don't
Correct.
see something, the only time we see something that Subaru doesn't is Rem and Ram's past. Other than that, we're able to see a lot more of what's going on with Subaru. If we don't know, if Subaru doesn't know something, 95% of the chance we won't know. Comparing Arc 4, where the first half was surely still focused on Subaru, but the second half, I
Let's
like.
focus on Amelia.
Oh well, Garfield, Otto, Amelia, like a bunch of backstories.
I
Roswell's
was is that, yeah, I would say generally focus more on Amelia, but yeah, I would definitely say we had to focus on a lot more characters.
mm, if I were to say between the two, like which one I think it's better between the two, mm, it's kind of tricky actually, if you really think about it, because they both have
It's
such
kind of
different
tricky because
pacing.
of is it? I would say yeah too. The pacing, there's a pacing in both seasons is different. It was a lot more.
If
It was
Austin were here, he would.
season one. Yeah, season one had a lot better pacing, even though it's covering more. I was like more material as in arcs, not as in the actual length of each arc. It's
Mm,
covering more there. It's not. It is like it was. It still had great pacing. Season two, however, if especially the second part, felt like we were jumping around way too much. Like well, it was like we'll spin. It wasn't like it didn't flow as well as Austin has mentioned
I'm gonna have to
because of
agree,
the
but that's on the pacing standpoint. As a story standpoint, though,
uh,
mm,
story standpoint. You can also argue that it didn't feel like the story progressed much for season two because we are focusing on clearly on one arc,
mm,
which was arc four.
you can still do
Is
a
a
lot
it
with
advanced
season one.
it advanced you can, but it advanced a lot. But we were think of it this way: we were stuck primarily in the like primarily in the shit. Were we stuck in
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary? Thank you. I don't know why my brain slipped on that. Primarily for most of the season. While in season one, while we were at the manor lot, we were at the capital. We were roaming around like the roads around in the country of Laguna. We were in the small town. We saw Ram's home village. It was like we were going all over the place to tell the story.
I will
I was
agree
like,
with
we're,
you
it
there,
was
but the thing is, you can develop the story just as good with a few locations. It's just look, the story
yes,
pacing
you can.
itself,
That was not a knock on that. It was just a knock. It was just saying that
an observation.
it was observation. Yes, just
Let me
pointing out what.
let me say this. The thing is, the two stories convey one about a boy who gets transported into a world, like a different world, and he has to survive. Season 2, however, has a different premise of now that he's kind of overcame a lot of his issues, at least some of his like main issues, he now has to deal with a situation where he's in a deadlock and he needs to find a way to break out of it.
I've heard that so many times.
Basically, the
That's
story has
and
merit, but if you were to compare the two, they really have. It's not just because of the content that they both give or the pacing. It's just this one. I feel like if we were to say which one's better between the two, it's a lot more opinion based. It's hard to be
yes.
objective with this one because this one is extremely different direction.
Well, to be honest, our last three verses were more opinion based as well because it was like it ultimately came down to our opinions.
All right, let's ultimately get down to our opinions. If I were to say, I might have to
Mm-hmm.
give it to season one.
I'll,
As much as I love season
I
one,
want to give it a tie.
hmm, interesting
You're like, wait, what the
jackass.
fuck?
You did this a time, but not the okay. No need to rant, but all right, we give our opinions on that. Let's go on to the final one.
Yeah.
Antagonist. Now, Elsa was the antagonist for Arc 1. I couldn't add the Mob Beast, but technically that was more of an obstacle because that had like a bunch of others to deal with.
Technically, you can add in Melee there as well
Yeah, but Melee wasn't
in
like
season
a
one.
full focus point though.
She wasn't a focus point, but she was there,
It's
but not.
different. It's different. Plus, why add her twice? And it's a
Uh-huh.
different.
It,
She has a
wait,
different role to play because that one she was more of a. You didn't really know unless you paid attention to what like the other people were saying.
yeah,
And
which I think we did point that out too
yeah,
when
y'all
we were watching
pointed it
season
out. If
one.
you actually like pay attention, yeah, but you all completely forgot how she looked. So that's also another thing.
Yeah.
But Betelgeuse, the white whale versus well again Elsa herself, Melee added because she actually was more active. Roswell and the Great Rabbit. Now
Mm-hmm.
this one is a lot tricky because we're comparing Elsa to Elsa, and they're not exactly different. They just have different
Okay,
roles.
for now, let's take Elsa out of the equation.
All right.
And we'll add it back in a little bit. So for now, it's gonna be Betelgeuse and the whale versus Melee, Roswell, and the rabbits.
Melee had an interesting thing because she kind of is just the damsel in distress for Elsa.
True.
Without the mob beast, she really is nothing. So there's not
Uh,
much to say on that. Now, Roswell and
now,
Betelgeuse. The thing with Betelgeuse is that he was a version of Subaru that he was heading towards. While
uh-huh,
Roswell, actually, they both are technically. Roswell is basically Subaru if he kind of just listened to what Roswell wants because he wanted him to be like him.
yep.
They just have very different points. One was more obsessed with who they love, and Roswell is similar, but in a more how to put it, it's a different approach. It's still the same kind of psychological ideologies type issue that I love, but between the two, it has very different stakes. Because Betelgeuse is insane and smart. Roswell is probably smarter, and he orchestrated everything to be a deadlock to force Subaru to go on a specific path. And he made it sure that everything
Uh-huh,
was harder for his ability to not fully work. Like Return by Death was quite literally useless in this scenario.
uh-huh,
Compared to Betelgeuse, where even the one loop before the true loop that won, Subaru and his crew beat the witch cultist, but Betelgeuse possessed Subaru, which was something he didn't account for.
yeah.
Had he accounted for that, it would have been a win. But that was because he had used Return by Death to have knowledge to beat Betelgeuse. For Roswell, he had to account all the knowledge he got, but he also had to account on other people. He couldn't account on his own information on its own because he didn't
Uh-huh,
know how to beat the rabbits. He sure as hell couldn't beat Elsa because that was too fucking hard. Like Roswell put more of a threat. Now he didn't exactly kill Subaru directly, but he still got Subaru killed majority of that season.
uh-huh.
What do you think between the two?
Now, I want to look at something that happens in season two with Betelgeuse, which was his backstory. Since he was the primary antagonist this season, um, when I saw him again, the backstory of Amelia for season two, as like I've already have disliked him because I'm pretty sure we all dislike Betelgeuse at that point. But upon learning about what his backstory is, what like fall in love with Fortuna, and even how Amelia even came to respect him, that actually made him more of a tragic villain to me, which is different from what Roswell is. Roswell's not really a since he's just an antagonist, not a quote unquote villain. It was more of him just trying to make sure things go the way he needs to go or what he perceives they need to go.
You're right. He's not
As
a villain.
I
He's an antagonist. And this entire category is
Yep.
antagonists. So between our two
Yeah.
antagonists, skipping aside Betelgeuse's
It was
backstory,
like Beetlejuice
Betelgeuse,
is definitely a villain.
he's a threat. He was legit a
Is
threat
that
when you saw him.
yeah? If he was legit a threat, legit a villain. It was like I mean, also now I will say we also saw Roswell's backstory and how it was like and discovering that he's just the next line of that same person because shit. You still need to explain that a little bit more.
What
As I
Roswell's
figure, yeah, clones ish
clones?
over the last 400 years. How he,
No,
or
okay.
reincarnations.
What he's been doing is he makes like he basically creates a child with someone, then he possesses that child's soul and basically takes over the body.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he's done that a lot. Anytime anyone has the name Roswell, that's him, obviously.
hmm Same Roswell that we saw with Echidna
Also,
so
there's
long ago.
also a fun fact. There's also a female version of Roswell, so it's a lot
Oh
weird.
God. Oh God. That sounds even horrifying. Even more horrifying.
But if we're comparing
Yeah,
between,
let me just go to the first child that's buried with him. Like, oh fuck, it's a girl. Oh, okay, knows that I can work with this.
I don't. Okay, that's not. God, why the fuck? Anyway, no, stop. Anyway, antagonists season. Okay, we have to talk about the white whale and the great rabbit. A lot of people,
Yep,
Austin for
but
sure, hates that whole attack with the white rabbit. But here's the thing: I'll
uh
defend it in the only this exact moment. Subaru already had a plan against it. The white whale,
true.
he didn't really had a plan. They were going off of the basis of what he saw, but
Uh
he didn't actually got
Yeah,
into.
yeah, you didn't actually know its abilities.
Yeah, like Daphne gave him the clue on how to beat the great rabbit. He didn't got the clue
Uh
on how to beat the whale, and he had to get it through his own intuition. So I want to make that clear, only because people do not understand
Intuition.
that intuition. People just don't understand why the rabbit was much easier to beat than the whale. It's because had he known about the whale's abilities, they would have done a lot more better.
It it would have been better, but it wouldn't be as easy, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
even if you knew its abilities, the whale itself, because it's sheer size and sheer is it because it's sheer size and it's
it's
is
much.
a and how it creates fog and stuff and can disappear pretty much. It's still been a challenge to fight, even with if you had like knowledge of it.
No, I'm saying like the rabbit is not stronger than the whale. It's just a lot of infinitely a lot more of it.
It is so honestly, it's a lot more. It's honestly a lot more manageable than the whale.
No, it is kind of hard to kill it if you don't kind of have the necessary means.
True.
Elsa, last one to talk about.
All right, Elsa. Still, it was like know what she's doing, what kind of job she's doing. It was like
This
season one. She was trying to steal the insignia, which I do believe Roswell was behind that.
Arc 1? Yeah, he was behind Arc 1.
Yep, yep, he was behind that one, and it was like, and he was also behind her attack on the manor in season two, which we know because we
Yeah.
said it out loud.
The thing is that Elsa's not changed, so technically it just counters itself. So it's just basically between
It's
Betelgeuse and Roswell.
uh,
Honestly, season 2 has a lot more higher stakes because Subaru isn't that damn deadlock. Season 1, he had allies. At the very least, he had Rem to help. Season
uh
2, he literally had to rely and get people to win people's trust. because to get
Yes.
Ram to get Ram to betray Roswell in a way that doesn't harm her because of their contract is very fucking difficult. So I'm gonna have to give it to season 2. Roswell is just way more of a threat than Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is a threat
He
and a villain,
is.
but
I will give.
Roswell is
I'll give the threat level to Roswell for sure, but I will give the character level to Beetlejuice.
that's fine. Conclusion. The thing is, these two seasons are so drastically different. They're just way too
Mm-hmm.
damn different, which is cool because it's better than the same old, same old. It's just if you want to ask what we think is the better one between the two, mm, that might take a
Well,
little bit.
first tell you the points that we gave it.
I don't even
If we
remember
each
anymore.
have
Dude, I think I gave a
as
lot
I
more. I
remember,
think I gave a lot more to season 1. So I'm just saying, season
yeah,
1. So I think season 1
we
kind of took
both
the win on that one. But if we were to be honest and say which one's better on a complete sense together,
hmm
it mostly depends on what your style of storytelling is. I like both, and it's hard for me to choose between the two because I can like they're both. If whoever, which one is better between the two, that more or less depends on what you think is better. In the terms of having a character that doesn't piss you off, yeah, probably season 2. I mean, a main
yeah.
character. If you're talking about like covering like quick story,
Individual is a
what?
quick story points. I was gonna say individual characters
Mm,
because, like I said, Rim stole the show, so it was like so pretty much. I'll give that one season one solely to Rim.
The winner is ReZero. But no, in all seriousness,
The win.
season 1 is a classic. Season 2 is a good continuation. That's not what
You did
we're
not call. You did not call season one.
I mean, the only
I
thing
would
Austin
disagree
would
with it being a classic, but it's. I will say it's.
what?
I'll definitely disagree with it being. I'll, I'll disagree with it being a classic.
What do you mean classic? I never said classic. Hello?
Yeah, you said it was a, season one was a classic.
I said season 1 was good. I was saying if season 2. Anyway, season 2 as a continuation to season 1 is a good one. It continues the story. The characters feel like themselves. Doesn't feel like they're drastically unlike Star Wars, but let's not get into that debate.
We
Uh,
should not.
but if season 1 was kind of what gave it all. Now, if Austin were here, he would say season 1 for a lot of REM related reasons.
What do you think I've been saying for the?
That's why we're being
What do you think I've been
unbiased.
saying? Exactly.
The thing
I'm
is,
unbiased.
if I'm being biased, I'm just gonna say they're kind of both on equal terms, but all for different reasons. If I'm being unbiased, season 1 kind of takes the win, in only because it's not because of how much it covered. It's just if it's storytelling has just a slightly better than season two's, especially like the second half, like with all the flashback and jumping back. Had they just like had one episode focused on one thing and then kind of did it like from there, I think the pacing would have been better, in my opinion. Now, I
We
don't know if
start
that.
from zeros better than choose me.
Okay, you're just starting shit now. All right, that's the end of this video, everyone. Thank you for joining. And this GreenWarrior291 with
All right.
Koolken signing off. Tell us
Yo.
which season did you like out of the two, and tell us why. Eh.